So you've seen the copper coils, you've seen seeds get a moon bath or planting by the moon, and yes, there is someone out there peeing on their tomatoes on purpose. Do any of these hold any scientific basis, or are these all just viral hacks that people are using for rage bait? Well, that's what we're gonna look at here today. You don't know who I am? My name's Ashley and I have a degree in soil science. I've been gardening since I was about 5 years old, and I work in the world of agriculture for over a decade. And I take kind of all of that experience, wrap it up into one, and then make you guys some video content that is science-based gardening fun. I think the best way to be able to look at these hacks is first to determine what the hack was meant to cause or allow for, and then what science says about the reality of the claim altogether. Number one is pretty big in the alternative world, and that is using moonlight and crystals to kind of supercharge your seeds. The idea here is that you expose your seed to both moonlight and or crystals. And the idea here is energy transfer is kind of my understanding. Now, of course, there's no studies done on this to show that this is the case for either moonlight or crystals. And the moonlight's intensity is 1/500,000th of a percent. It's very, very small compared to that of the sun. So it's not like it's giving it any sort of photosynthetic benefit. And in the case of light-dependent germination seeds, such as lettuce, for example, this luted light, if you will, is not going to be enough to even trigger germination. But shockingly enough, there is a button. Moonlight can mimic cues for photoperiod sensitive plants. Photoperiod sensitive plants can include things like lettuce and a number of different flower plants. The moonlight in and of itself doesn't actually give the plant anything, but what it does act like is essentially a timer. So while we think that the moon and nighttime doesn't actually play a role in plant growth, it does, and that is why we put timers on our seeds. Just by osmosis, I guess you could say, the moon factors into the health of the plant and its performance overall. The verdict, is it a cool ritual? Maybe. It's very Instagram worthy looking. Does it affect germination? Probably not, but it does affect adult plants, and not for the reasons we think that are claimed in this hack, but more so just because that's what nature needs. Wire coils in the garden, aka electroculture. I personally have metal all over the garden, not in the form of copper, but just in the form of regular old metal. The claim here is that copper will drag atmospheric electricity and kind of pull it into both the soil and the surrounding environment of the plant. And shockingly enough, electroculture is not new. It's been around for about 100 years. Now, modern science does say that open air electricity caused by copper wires is way too weak to really truly affect anything. And so therefore it doesn't really have any effect on both the plant metabolism, which is part of the claim, and or the microbes or mineral nutrient, any of that. Now, what actually might be happening here is that copper can provide shelter and protection for the plant and support in some cases. I've actually seen them kind of as the support system for, say, a tomato. But over time, copper can actually become incredibly toxic in your soil. Maybe a fun garden science experiment, which I always encourage. You want to make sure that you're pulling that copper out and rotating it around, because it is a micronutrient and it can become toxic in high quantities. And therefore, if you leave it in over seasons upon seasons, it's going to start to cause some issues. And I will say that they actually are kind of pretty, some of the decorative forms you can get. So if you're using it for that, that's totally fine as well. Next up, we have talking or singing to your plant. The idea here is that sound waves stimulate plant growth. And science actually does support this. So between 125 and 250 hertz, hormones like auxin actually may be stimulated, and stomatal activity actually can be improved. And in this case, we are speaking to constant exposure to these hertz, not you just walking into the greenhouse and saying goodnight, although I do that for the record, and I superstitiously do believe it helps. Am I a true scientist? I don't take myself very seriously, so there's your sign. One study actually played continual sound in and around that range for about 3 hours, and they did see some improvements. Whispering sweet nothings to your plants, probably not doing much, despite the fact that I'm superstitious and I think it does. But continual exposure to hertz around that level could, in theory, help with the plant, but I'm still gonna say that this one's a little bit weak on the science side and is definitely not 100% written in stone. I could probably do a whole video just on this one garden hack. Urine as fertilizer. This one's half taboo, half genius. Urine does contain nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and it is particularly high in the world of nitrogen. Now you need to dilute this. You can't just pee straight up onto the plant. The dilution is 1 to 10, 1 cup of urine to 10 parts water. Now here's the thing, you'd want to use it right away, and you'd also not want to store it, because if you do, then it's going to have some pathogens which can become dangerous, particularly when you're speaking to edible fruits and vegetables. And with that being said, I actually would not encourage you to use it on root vegetables specifically, so carrots, radishes, anything like that. But tomatoes, peppers, flowers, you could definitely give this a shot. Just dilute it accordingly. If you don't dilute it, you're going to kill everything, because it's also high in salt. This one I actually do have an entire video on. Sound vibration for weed control. So can dubstep actually control some of your weeds? Now sound is really funny because we're actually using it in some cases for defense mechanisms and crowd control. So it is something that can affect humans, and it also can affect plants, particularly lower frequencies. So lower frequencies can damage plant cell membranes and actually can affect the germination of seeds. It does require very super specific setups, however. We need controlled decibels, controlled time exposure, and even controlled frequencies. Meaning when it's outdoors, it's basically just a bunch of guesswork. But in a lab, under controlled conditions, it's possible to actually utilize this. Awesome theory, but in practice, it's a little bit impractical. Here's the deal. Weird garden hacks are absolutely everywhere, and some are rooted in science, and others are actually just disguised as scientific fact with some very loose truths mixed in. But as always, Geek Crew, I encourage you to become your own garden scientist and actually try some of this stuff out for yourself and see if it works, because everyone's experience is a little bit different. With that being said, hit that subscribe button. Sharing is caring, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!